Awesome.
Busy.
That can be a good thing. All right, I think we might be good.
Well, yeah. Guys, I'm in that like day of the week. It's Thursday. I didn't shut down my computer yesterday. I have too much stuff up.
Oh no.
Are you in that boat, Megan? It's just all the tabs.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
I think my problem is there's not just tabs, there's like windows upon windows.
Yeah. My internet went out yesterday, so I was like mid doing everything. So I was like, I have to leave it all up because I gotta remember exactly where I was because it was like down all evening. So I was like, oh.
I thought I was
So
gonna
then
do something after I put the kids to bed and then I didn't. So now it's still all up.
yeah. Totally get it.
Okay. Well, today is so you want to be a bookkeeper. And me and Megan and I had some really good conversation around this and just remembering when we started and all of those things. If you've ever thought, so a lot of you on today already have your bookkeeping business started. You've already made this decision. And so feel free to chime in with your thoughts, your experiences, post them in the comments. We'll follow along with them. But for the person who's like, could I really become a bookkeeper, even though I've never worked in finance? I've never worked in a bank. All I do is my, personal budget. I make sure my bills get paid. And even that, I might be bad at it, right? Like, can you still do this? Megan and I would say absolutely yes, but we 100% understand that series of doubt, that curiosity. Could I do this? Could I not? I know when I was starting my bookkeeping business, but before that, like right before it, no, years before it, there was a good 5-year period where I was trying all the things. I started an e-commerce store. I started whatever. And so there was definitely times like, could I do this? Well, e-commerce, you're not providing a service. Like you're delivering a product, but you're not responsible for other people's financial futures and tax bills. So so I know when I transitioned to going out on my own in bookkeeping, there was this oh no moment right before you take off on a roller coaster. Right. Megan, I see you nodding.
Yeah. Most definitely. Because I mean, for me, it was like, I've never done this before, so I have no idea what I'm doing. But it was just like one of those things where I saw people saying, hey, you can do this and have flexibility and make the income you're making or whatever income you want. So I was like, ooh, I need to try and see. But at the same time, I'm terrified because can I really do this? I have no idea what I'm doing.
Exactly. And then we go through a phase of, if I'm going to do this, I have to do all of everything. And then I have to formally have a business, and I formally have to have a fully filled out website with 800 social articles on it, like bench.co. And right, yeah, I think they have 800 plus backlinks, plus all backlinks from their affiliates, and they have a ton of blogs. They've invested a lot of money in that. Okay, so most of you listening to this today as we're live, so if you're listening to us on Facebook, wherever you're finding us live right now, feel free to join us in the Zoom. We love to see your faces.
Yeah, I dropped the link, so they should have it everywhere.
Just because we really enjoy learning about your business, your journey, and what you're facing right now, and is it similar to what we're facing right now? Megan and I still both run our own accounting firms and enjoy it. So most days.
Yeah, it can be a roller coaster.
I would say really, really generally most days, we are serving our audience. We were serving those business owners that we have as clients, and we do really, really enjoy that. But it is learnable. It is figure outable, especially using something like QuickBooks. Not only is there training inside the Bookkeeper Blueprint, which we've produced based on our own experience, based on the experience of students that have gone through it. There is the Pro Advisor, which teaches you, it doesn't teach you bookkeeping, but the Pro Advisor says, hey, I'm going to give you a badge for understanding our software, right? And so it teaches you how to send an invoice, how to set up a chart of accounts, how to do things inside of QBO, which is a start to bookkeeping. Megan,
Yep.
Megan, do you have the book blog? You did. Bought this for Kyle.
I can pull it up.
Now that I'm, he was learning bookkeeping, so I bought this just to, because Megan used it getting started, and it is the textbook side of bookkeeping. If you're like, what is stock? What is equity stock? A lot of you guys don't have C corps, and so you're not dealing with like true capital stock, if you were. But a lot of you have C corp, S corps, and so you are dealing with real equity. Okay, so I know inside the Bookkeeper Blueprint, you know, accounting, I liken it to a trade. I liken it to a trade like welding, like plumbing, like doing electricity, because you can learn all the book knowledge until you get a client, or you do it on your personal books, on your business books, until you have that real world application. So if you're looking for any of the books me and Megan recommend, Megan just dropped that blog post with some of those books. And these are books. It is not a ChatGPT generated list. These are books that we actually have read, or, you know, one of us has read, one of us would recommend. So sometimes we both recommend often these books, but it is a combination of us on that list. And so with accounting being a trade, you know, yeah, I'm dealing with a Schedule C business, but I don't really know what that means until I see their tax return. And until I read the tax return like a book. Guys, you guys get tax returns and you're like, I don't know what I'm looking at. Read it, read all of it. I promise you. Like physically read it like a book, for line by line. Nerd out for a couple of hours. It will be okay. And you're going to start to understand, oh, this is why Sherry and Megan are telling me to ask for this. This is why they said to do it that way. And it's going to start to make sense. Now, we don't just do bookkeeping for the tax return. We do it for management. What does that mean? That means the business owner needs to understand what they're looking at so that they can make decisions in their business that help make them make a profit. Okay. Ooh, that was like textbook. That wasn't a textbook, but it sounded cool.
Yeah.
But that's what it is, right? So like if I'm issuing financials to Megan on her business, I don't. But let's say I was, you know, when she looks at those, she wants to know, how much did I make in sales? Am I overspending on a category like advertising? Like I've been spending 6 months of advertising, but my income isn't up any more than it was last year when I did 0 advertising. Ooh. Who's watching your advertising? Who's helping you with your advertising? Who's monitoring the spend to make sure we're not just churning money, or at that rate, just burning money. There's no churn there. There's just, okay. So what is bookkeeping? I just kind of alluded this, but bookkeeping is the process of recording and organizing a business's financial transactions. In bookkeeping and accounting, every in and out gets tracked. Some of you guys will come to me and say, but it zeroes out. Do I really have to track it? Yes. Yes, because there was physically a transaction that went in and out. Okay. We use software to help keep everything neat. We typically recommend QuickBooks Online. There are a few exceptions where we have recommended Wave in the past. I would not make that same recommendation like I did 4 years ago for a client, just because now I'd put them in QuickBooks Ledger, which is $10 a month. Like, I will just increase your bill and pay for it. Not really. I do not recommend paying for your client's subscription. Megan, I'm going to tag team with you real quick on just what is bookkeeping and where we're at there. Thanks.
Yep. So yeah, tracking their income and their expenses. We use QuickBooks Online for the most part. And then you're going in and categorizing every transaction. But there's always, and some of y'all who are on here who have clients and stuff, the softwares are great, but it's so important to know all the functions and stuff of the softwares and of the programs that you connect to QuickBooks and all of the things. So that's kind of where like it's such a huge part of being a bookkeeper and knowing those things and being open to learning the processes and stuff like that. Because it like QuickBooks makes it seem like, oh, any business owner can go in and do their books themselves, but they have to know every function that there is in QuickBooks. They have to make sure that they're reconciling the bank accounts. They have to know how to read and review the financial statements and know that the information that is on there is correct. Because if undeposited funds is on the balance sheet, there's probably an issue. There could be duplicated income. And that's just like one example of like things that you could potentially see. But these are things that are like super important on like why you need to know the functions of QuickBooks, and it's not as easy for a business owner, because a lot of times we hear and we see business owners like, oh, well, I'm doing my own books in QuickBooks, it's all fine. And then you get in and you review and you're like, well, you have not reconciled in 3 years and your income is duplicated and you're missing a ton of expenses and stuff along those lines. So it's super important to make sure you know all the functions of everything in QuickBooks, and you're passing that along to your clients as well. So even if you have somebody who's like, hey, I'm doing it myself, go in and do a review for them. But that's one of the things that, like, being a bookkeeper, that's your job to make sure that information is correct. So knowing how to read the financials is huge.
Absolutely. And man, we did a podcast back in September or something of the fall where we were talking about like the differences between bookkeepers, accountants, tax preparers, things like that. And the line has grayed since the introduction of technology. I think we're going to see it continue to gray out a little bit. Whereas, you know, pre-2000s, the bookkeeper was very much just the one who organized the data, entered the transactions, right? They sent the invoice. They were very clerk. And so you're going to still have clients who view you as a glorified data entry virtual assistant. It's your job to know better.
Right. Definitely.
And so you don't just record daily transactions and organize data. That is part of what we do now. We have software that does that for us. We just tell it what to do. It does it. We now prepare basic financial reports. So it is really important for you to not ignore the balance sheet. A lot of you, you know, the P&L, the income statement is easier to learn. And that's where every person entering accounting is going to start. You're going to start to learn income and expenses. How does that work together? You're going to understand how to read that financial. You're going to learn how to review that report. So like I open, here's a hot tip. If you're like, how do I review it? Run it month over month. Look at the whole year, 12 months over. Right now, this quarter, I'd probably compare it to, you know, Q4 and make sure, you know, office expenses, if they only have five subscriptions because they're small, it might say $150 every month. You might be their only accounting professional in the books. It's going to say $500 every month. If we're doing it right, right? So like you can look at that consistency, that accuracy, And you can start to understand what to look for there. Okay. So now an accountant is the one where you hand off the baton to the accountant is when they need an audit, attestation services. That is, so like they need a financial statement audit because they've got investors, they've got maybe a board of directors that needs an audited financial report, but it's often because they're in a certain loan that requires it, or they meet a certain revenue threshold, just like over 10 million, to require an audit. So this is what I did before I went to private and then on my own, right? So we go in, we prepare it, we make an opinion, a judgment. So on the accountant side, the accountant is going to make an opinion of the bookkeeper's capabilities, and it's going to go into the financial report. I just scared a lot of people. Most of your clients don't need an audit, and you're going to know what you're doing because you're going to pursue education. You're not going to buy programs that are just saying, hey, bookkeeping is completely easy. You can do it in your sleep. Me and Megan know better. Okay.
Yeah.
Then you have tax preparer. That's number 3. The tax preparer, this can be an accountant, a CPA, right? But you can have an enrolled agent and you can have just a tax preparer. So someone with their tax set up. So they have an EFIN number, they have a PTIN number. All of those you can look up, Google them for me. So they're working directly with the IRS, and they might not have a credential, right? So you have different levels of tax preparers. They file taxes simply based on what the financials say. Okay. So they are, depending on your level of tax preparer, they are glorified data entry clerks too. And then we get up to people that actually know what they're doing tax strategy, they're looking at it and they're saying, hey, if you made this tweak, if you contributed to your SEP IRA, you wouldn't have this tax bill. And you're like, oh, thank you so much for that. Yes, I would rather spend $9,000 into my SEP up to 16 or 17,000 this year in my SEP IRA, which is a business expense before March 15th, if done right, unless you're doing an extension. Yeah, okay. I'm going to do that instead of paying a $9,000 tax bill. Okay. That's what a good tax preparer is, a tax strategist, a tax advisor is going to do. Tax preparer, tax advisor are different. We like CPAs because a lot of times they can do both. Not always. A lot of times they can, and we want like Merrill in our group that we recommend. Merrill, he's a Taylor Tax Team. If you're looking for a CPA to recommend or partner with, he's a really good one to refer your clients to. He can do those different levels. Okay. But you don't need to be an accountant or a tax preparer to be a really good accountant or a bookkeeper.
Bookkeeper.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Glad we can trim stuff. I'm just kidding. That probably won't be trimmed, but you don't need to do all of that. You just need to know how to take care of a client's books, what expenses mean, what assets mean, and where does it go? Assets go on the balance sheet. And if you don't know this, you're going to learn it using something like the Bookkeeper Blueprint, asking your clients questions. Some of you guys are really hesitant to ask your clients questions. If you don't understand the transaction because they're saying, I don't know, and they don't understand the transaction, it is your professional privilege. I'm going to say privilege because some of you guys are going to argue about responsibility. I'm going to say it is your professional privilege to serve the client well and ask those questions. Okay, so what makes having a bookkeeping business, a great online business? So if you remember our stories, I was 100% at home, loved it, still at home. And I don't have to leave my house to go do any sort of work unless I'm networking or traveling for an event or something like that. Megan wanted the flexibility to be in carpooling and at practices. And what do you call it? Carpooling, right?
Carpool, yeah.
We had this discussion yesterday. School pickup line.
Yeah.
I think it's called different things in different states apparently. So, but if you know, you want to be there for different things, and whatever that goal is, maybe like when I was doing public accounting, I really don't want to work 50, 60 hours a week and have this like really tight crunch to have it slow down. Like I wanted some more consistency in my like life. Now you're always closing something in bookkeeping. There's life in the big city, as one of my former bosses said. There's always something, but you can still control the schedule more, right? Like you don't have, that means you have to have some responsibility, some accountability to yourself to deliver what you said you're going to deliver. But you can work from anywhere. So if I'm in Arizona, I can still be working. I don't have to put an out of office if I just want to relocate where I'm working. Bonnie, one of our coaches, a few years ago, she worked a lot at the park. She did like a screen cover around her laptop, like a sun shield. She would go work at the park while her kids played. A bookkeeping business is in constant demand. You'll hear other ads say something like this, but what they're saying, what they mean by that is a bookkeeping business, they always need a bookkeeper. Banks need bookkeepers to do the financials so that they can issue loans, right? So banks, business loan officers are your best friend. Because yes, you can do financials that a loan officer can use to get stuff done. Okay. That you might encounter some limitations. They might still need a CPA to sign off on something, right? Or someone with their, taxpayer to sign off on something. But it's stable, it's reoccurring, it's consistent. The average bookkeeper keeps, or not just bookkeeper, accounting firm keeps a client minimum 3 years, up to 10 on average, right? You can obviously have the exceptions to the rule. You can have a client for a month, you can have a client for 12 years, always exceptions. But average would be like 3 to 5. 2 of my clients came to me within the past, 2 years. Their former bookkeeper, they had both of them, different clients, different bookkeepers. They both had them for 10 years prior to me. They're going to be pretty consistent as long as I keep them happy, right? Like, and do a good job, and show up every year and, do my job to help them do theirs. Stay in communication, don't ghost them, make it hard for them to ask questions. So it's consistent, reoccurring revenue. So I struggled with this at the beginning. I was like, I want a business that I could pick up and put down. So I really liked cleanups at that point. It was a big chunk of change. I got to do the work and I could coast. Still like that. However, then it was like, oh, but if I do this work every month, I get to create efficiencies in the work. I already know what I'm doing. It is also trainable should I want to hire down the road, which I then did for the most part. At this point, I think, yeah, I'm there. I was trying to think if I have like any like one-off clients that like I do, like,
Yeah.
I have some clients that are like more mine that I do all client communication with, but I don't necessarily enter Starbucks expense, right? Like I don't have to, I would in a heartbeat to keep the client, right? Like should something ever happen, or like, would be happy to do it, but it's reoccurring revenue, right? On the first of the month, you're going to charge them $500. You're going to do the work. You're going to deliver the financials 20th, 25th, whatever whenever you can, right? Like whatever your system is set up to do, assuming you have stuff, assuming whatever the agreement is, right? You're going to deliver, they're going to pay you, they're going to pay you again, you're going to do the work. So it's consistent. You can plan ahead 6 months down the road all things consistent, right? And you're bringing on new clients and all of those things. But low startup cost. I have done the math on so many businesses that I've wanted to start. Before I started this, I wanted to open a thrift store. I still want to open a thrift store, a nonprofit thrift store with a particular purpose in mind. Megan has a goal like this. It's not a thrift store per se. But a nonprofit of sorts. And when I started doing the math, it's an easy $20,000 investment. There are ways you can get that down, but like if I'm an introvert or like to do things on my own, like I'm probably just going to pay the money versus like try to go convince everyone to give me whatever. And I'm going to probably post something to go pick up. Like I'm going to do that stuff. Right. Abel, that doesn't surprise me at all that you want to start a thrift store, Mr. Reseller over there. Totally. Yeah. No, I totally get it. I come from like the same background, like same like appeal. So I used to resell stuff online too. But this doesn't have a $20,000 startup. It's zero. It is QuickBooks Online and whatever tablet or laptop you have lying around, or the library. Like if you're really like, I've got to do this, I don't have something, you're going to go sit at the library 3 times a week. You're going to do stuff on your phone. And I'm going to go work once a week at the library so that I have the sanity of a screen to do QuickBooks. But even Megan, you started on a tablet?
Yep. Yeah, a tablet with a keyboard attachment to it.
Yeah. I started with whatever laptop I had lying around that as a stay-at-home mom, I didn't have to touch a laptop. I was like, let me go dust this thing off. Eventually did have like it died eventually. Like it was like, I worked it hard. I think I had like, I just used whatever we had. I was like, I don't care how outdated it is. I'm just going to use whatever's there. So QuickBooks Online is free. You don't need anything else. You just need to say, hey, I can do your books, and you need to be able to do the books, which is free. And QuickBooks Online Accountant. So if you don't have that set up, if you're listening to this, you're going to go to QuickBooks Online Accountant and you're going to set yourself up as an accountant. Don't get confused by Bookkeeper Accountant at that point, right? Like I think I had this moment of like, can I do this? That is for you as an accounting firm, as a bookkeeping firm. It's free to you. All of your client portals go in there. It's like a software folder for all of your clients' QuickBooks subscriptions. Okay. That you're going to log into. It's your dashboard. You're not going to remember any, like you're going to use the cloud on everything. So like if you're using Keeper, it's SOX compliant. So you're going to log in, but before you close it, you're going to log out. And then in QuickBooks Online, it's also SOX compliant. You're going to log in, but you're going to sign off. So a lot of us just close out on our, whatever. You can also maybe use a VPN. Like you can log into your own VPN and then do what you need to do there. You can also use something like an incognito mode or DuckDuckGo that's not going to save all the cookies, but before you log out, you're going to delete, cache cookies. But you're not saving any documents to the computer. So if you needed to save a document, like a statement or something, so like I pull down all statements and save them in our drive. I'm going to do that on my tablet back at home. I'll just open what I need. Again, you're not getting any client information. You're not signing in as the client ever. So like if you're protected naturally, you should be protected on a public computer. Yeah. And really, if you start playing all of those games, so this is to the other people listening. If you start playing the but this, but that, but whatever excuse that you can possibly come up with, you're never going to get started. So I would always change it. How can I? I can use a computer at the library if I do. And really what I mean by that is a lot of libraries have like a laptop checkout. that you can like sign out with a laptop. If you like go ask your library, like, I'm in need of a laptop, what sort of programs like can I have? But guys, if you're telling me you cannot buy a laptop, I better not see you eating out at all, ever, because you can buy a laptop refurbished for like you can buy a brand new laptop for under $200. So I'm gonna go sell a bunch of stuff at a garage sale.
And so one of the things that I did, like I started everything on the tablet, but when I got my first cleanup job, I went and bought a used one off of Amazon or refurbished, whatever, on Amazon. So like they're like, use what you're making to invest back into your business, and it's going to pay for itself.
Yeah, ask a family member or something, but like sell some clothes, sell a piece of furniture, sell something you're not using, and you can get a $50 tablet. Then you can upgrade to like it is. We gifted a laptop not too long ago. As like a giveaway. Like we do that all the time. So well, not all the time, but like there are ways to get a laptop is what I mean by like, but we have done giveaways, right? Like we do a giveaway once a year at some point, some sort of something. Did we do a monitor? Like a third monitor, like a
Yeah, I think we did their choice of third monitor or laptop the last time we did.
yeah,
That was with the no contest.
yeah. But you do not need a MacBook Pro at $2,500. You need a Microsoft Surface. You need whatever is going to get you, and then you can upgrade from there. It doesn't need to be a $600 gaming laptop to do this. You're going to use QuickBooks Online. You're going to use Keeper. You're not streaming anything. Like, so you don't need, it doesn't have to be fancy. Like, you sit my husband down, who's like really tech computer person. Here's why you need whatever. You don't need that because it's all cloud-based, like Keeper, QuickBooks Online. Quip 360 can start to use a little bit of RAM. So if you're doing website at that point, right? But even then, like most basic computers can do that. And if you have questions, if you're really hung up on a laptop, reach out to us. Tell me your budget. My husband will find you a laptop. And no judgment on your budget. Like I've bought cheap laptops just for whatever purpose before. Okay. My husband owned a computer repair shop, phone repair shop, and not too long ago. So like he probably has resources for you if you're really, really feeling like your back is against the wall. Send us a message. You can email us at info@cb4s.biz. Me and Megan will see that email and help you out. Like in terms of where can we get it in your budget that with what you need. Okay. We're not going to tell you what you need. We can help advise, but like if you're like, hey, I really need this. I really need it to be pink. Tell us that. Color doesn't matter. Clients aren't seeing it, I promise. Okay. So we've said some of the benefits of running a bookkeeping business are that you can work from anywhere. This is 100% true. Internet travels with you. You can hotspot. I now pay, Megan hooked me onto this. I had to do a new vehicle, and then some of the newer vehicles come with like a Ford hotspot or something like that. Megan's like, I use a hotspot all the time. And so when I had the option, I was like, wait, but what? So I'm always in my computer, like in my car, like if we're traveling, I'll do the work in the car beforehand. Like, all right, let's get this work done. And then we get to the destination and I'm done. Sometimes I don't have to. Sometimes that's the benefit of being a business owner is you could just go on vacation. It's in constant demand, right? So we said it's in constant demand. It creates reoccurring revenue. So if you do some quarterly clients, you're going to get paid every month and you're going to show up at the end of the quarter and do the work, or beginning of the next quarter, right? And do the work. You're going to have low startup cost, 0. Max $500. So LLC, if you really want that, you can get that. Laptop, if you really need it, probably a deposit into a bank account, which mine required 0. I could open a business bank account and I didn't have to have any personal funds in it. I was able to open it with zero. And then it just, I had to deposit money from sales in it. Like that was it. What else is there, Megan? You don't necessarily need business cards. You can do an electronic one.
Yep.
Website, Facebook, free.com.
Yeah. That's what I did for the longest time, was just had a Facebook page set up, and I just let people know, like, I'm just starting out. This is what I have right now. I have a website coming, and they were perfectly fine with that.
Yep. So you can get to 30 to 50,000 a year. You can get to 100,000. A lot of you before you get there are going to be like, I really want, keep in mind, want, not need a website. Right. And then it's easy to niche. So once you start getting clients I recommend about at 100,000, unless you really need a niche to get started. At 100,000, then we can take a look at, okay, who do I want to focus on now? You've got enough clients underneath your belt. You've done 100,000 in revenue. Now we can get picky. We can say, maybe it's not even getting picky. Maybe it's just, I've been focused on all these spots, but you know what? All of my clients are coming from here. So we're going to figure out, what podcasts do they listen to? What magazines? Where do they go? Who do they know? I'm going to connect with all of those people because that's who my audience is focused on. I'm going to live, eat, and breathe what they consume, right? I'm going to really get to know them as people. So Megan and I, when we were talking about this, and I know I've kind of been long-winded on that laptop bent, no excuses. I want to keep you guys moving. If we were looking at 90 days, we're going to start a business in the next 90 days. What are we going to do? I might take the first 4 weeks to figure out, do I want an LLC or do I want to do this as a sole prop? Do I need an EIN? Do I not? Okay, you can get an EIN as a sole prop, but then you're asking, do I need an LLC? Then insurance, maybe you need that. You don't need that till you get a first client, right? So you're going to sign the contract, start the insurance. So you're going to already, you can go online and do it. You can work with one of our recommended partners. Actually, not even partners. We have recommendations. Partner insinuates that there's kickbacks or affiliates. We don't have any of that. We just tell you who we are going to use or who one of our coaches uses, who we use, things like that. Then we're going to dive into the Bookkeeper Blueprint. We're going to get familiar with, and in the Bookkeeper Blueprint, we walk you through what we would do in 90 days effectively. The first phase is setting up your business, your logo, your colors. Should you really, 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 really need that to get started, you can always circle back, right? Then we're going to start to look at systems and processes, all of which we're going to cover in the next 12 weeks. We're going to cover how we would do some of this, but we even have templates and outlines and checklists and letters to send your clients, emails, how to email them to ask for stuff, how to email them to fire them. All of those things we've got you covered from that standpoint, but you can always talk to a lawyer. We can give you a recommendation on that. Hey, can you review this? Maybe you took one of our templates, you made it your own. You're saying, hey, I want it to cover some of this. Hey, XYZ lawyer, can you look at this? I'm trying to accomplish this. They will, $150, review it for you. Should be about $150. It shouldn't be $1,500. They're going to review it and tell you you're good to go, and you're going to use that in your software. You don't have to do that under 5 clients. Just FYI. And then we're going to market, weeks 9 to 12. If hopefully you've started marketing, but we're going to really move our focus from, can I do this, to we really better be marketing and finding clients. We're now all in on marketing and finding clients. We were always marketing and finding clients weeks 1 through 8, but we were executing on those other areas. Now we're going to turn our focus 100% marketing. Until you have a client, then it's going to be marketing first, always first. Abel, talking to you. Marketing first, then the work follows. Always pay yourself in marketing first. Okay. You don't have to go at this alone. You do not have to be on an island. You do not have to watch every free webinar that you possibly can, guys, because that's a full-time job. I was just talking to Megan, you and I were just talking to a student who it's a full-time job. If you really wanted to do that, like that's all you're going to be doing and you're never going to get to marketing. So real quick in the next two, I'm going to take 3 minutes, Megan. And then if you guys have questions, you guys can start putting those in the chat. Mistakes that people make when they're starting. Abel, you felt it when talking to you. Some of the mistakes we see bookkeepers make. So if this is you, let us know so we can help you stop. Okay. Waiting to be ready. There's always going to be something to learn. There's always going to be a new industry. There's always going to be a new button. QuickBooks is going to update. It's going to change stuff on you. So you can't master QuickBooks before you get started. It's going to change something. You're going to find something you don't like about QuickBooks, and then they're going to change it on you. So don't wait until
there's always going to be a client or an industry that something's going to come up that you don't know, even if you have years of experience.
100%. And that's why I say it's trade. You're learning a trade. Year 3 into welding.
Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard.
You're going to try to learn, weld upside down. And you're going to be like, this is trippy. Or you're going to be like, wait, you're wanting to do what? This involves the balance sheet. Wait, what? That's why we do private coaching calls for you for this is not textbook. It's great to be textbook, but sometimes it's a little, wait. Gotta think about this for a second. Thinking you need to go back to school. You need to go get a certification. You need someone to sign off on you as your ability. You don't. And then never telling anyone that you're open for business. If you're scared to tell someone what you do, go read Know Exactly What to Say. I don't know if it's on the book list or not. It's on Amazon. Know Exactly What to Say. It is like a black and orange cover. I think it is on the blog list because I recommend
it is too.
That book is going to change your perspective on like how to present it when you're like, I'm not sharing this for you because I don't think you can buy the service, but you might know someone else who could. And so you're going to say something like, hey, this might not be for you, but I'm a bookkeeper. I help, because someone's going to in the elevator. Oh, what do you do for a living? Oh, this might not be for you, but you've totally taken down the difference of a sales pitch. And now you're just having a conversation, cough, building relationships like we harp on. That's our goal. All right. So you take that barrier down and then move forward with the actual conversation. Okay. So where are we at? Any questions? I just wanted to cover those things like, okay. But Abel and I picked on you because you're on and you're fun. I know you're marketing. You were doing it. You're good. So if you're ready to get started with something like the Bookkeeper Blueprint, if you've been holding off, do I really want to do this? Do I know enough? I want some encouragement under my belt. I want people to catch me when I might fall. That is what the Bookkeeper Blueprint is designed to do. And we have weekly calls. Well, multiple times a week. I do a Tuesday night call. Megan, you're on Wednesday midday. Mindset, book topics, things like that. And then Chelsea, one of our other coaches, does a call right before this. And it's, everything bookkeeping, marketing related. On my call, anything goes. I often come with a topic. So this week we talked marketing. Cameron says, I feel like trying to build relationships with potentials is a full-time job. Absolutely. It can be. Especially getting started when you're trying to figure out what door is going to open. And then once the doors open, you can double down.
And it feels like in the beginning that it's a full-time job. And sometimes it feels like you're not getting anything from it. But like the more the relationships you build and the longer you continue to nurture those relationships, you're going to start seeing the results from it. So like don't let that be discouraged, but at the same time, make sure you're building the relationships with the right people. So like even if it's not like your ideal client, do they know your ideal clients? Are they going to be somebody who's going to be a good referral source for you and stuff? Because like how many times I've guilty of this, so many times you show up to like what you think is going to be an awesome networking call or group or whatever, and then no, it's just everybody's trying to pitch and sell to you. They don't care about what you actually have at the end of the day. Which I mean, that's what networking groups are for, but at the same time, you want people who want to genuinely help and build those relationships too. So
And one thing I think about is, so you're starting a bookkeeping business, for anyone who's listening, right? You're trying to get money in the door today. Some of what you're doing today is planting a harvest for 3 years from now. So we're not just in the bookkeeping business to make some money in the next 6 months. Absolutely, we are. But not just in the next 6 months. Like, we're not going to close it down, right? We are in this for the next 3, 5, 10 years, depending on what you want to do with it. Maybe you want to sell it, right? But like, whatever that is, it's not a short-term play. So those relationships, if we can maximize them, how can we maximize them? So I met someone in person, friended them on Facebook. On Facebook, maybe because that was easy. Hey, it was so great to talk to you in the elevator the other day. What a fun interaction. Definitely enjoyed that conversation. Hey, you mentioned that you weren't sure if you wanted to use QuickBooks Online. I have this training, if you want it, on like what my clients do, like if they don't want to use QuickBooks Online, or why they do. Feel free to grab it. I think it might help you. We're going to have that behind an opt-in wall, and now we have their email. So how are we following up with even passive relationships? Like, ultimately, can we get them on an email list? And then I'm going to email them enough to make them unsubscribe or buy or unsubscribe. And I guess I accidentally did that. I had like a looping, I told you this, a looping like workflow. That was like, all of a sudden I was like, I'm pretty sure I just got this email like 3 times. And sure enough, I was like, well, I do have the philosophy of buyer. Now this is for my bookkeeping business, right? Like I want to teach them, I want to train them. So I do DIY trainings. I do one-on-one trainings in my bookkeeping business for business owners. So it was just funny. Like, so I do want to build that relationship in email, just because then they're mine. I get to keep them. And sometimes it's just the right opportunity. It hits their inbox. For some reason, it hit their inbox instead of like one of their filters, and they see it and they're like, oh, actually, I've been looking for that now. And I did just have this happen. When I got on the call with the guy, I was like, I recognized your name, like actually recognized your name. I was like, I've worked with you before. And I'd actually worked with his business partner, but he was on the email chain. I was like, I was pretty sure, like, because I worked with, and I could say the name. I was like, yeah, I did y'all's conversion from that folio to QBO. It was just a project base. Here's where you guys had found me for that. He's like, yeah, I thought I recognized your name, but here's what I'm trying to do now. And your email just popped up, and it was, he just took a risk of like, oh, hey, I'll do this. So it was just opportunity, right? And that's what email allows you to. Oh, sorry. Any tips on social media connections? Oh, Chelsea had a wonderful, what did she do? She did like day one. Hey, nice to connect. Go for it.
Yeah, I think it was just something like nice to connect and asking like, how's the weather where they're at, or something along those lines, like very non-salesy, just trying to have a conversation.
Yep. And then she would follow up. So like, she would send that. If they responded, great. If they didn't, day 3, she would send an email. Hey, I just wanted to let you know, it's so great to connect with you again. I'm a bookkeeper and I serve people in the real estate. If you know of anyone, or, ever have a need, let me know. Feel free to reach out. And she just went ahead and like pushed her business like, hey, here's who I am, just so you know. And sometimes that would prompt a conversation. And she did really well with that. So it was like, and she kept track. So like, even if you're keeping track on like an Excel sheet or whatever, like, hey, these people accepted, they're in this queue. And, you know, like you can even do like a sticky note. So like you can have a piece of paper and you can be like, day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4. And you can move the sticky note to people who accepted or on that like thing. Who want to be, you know, like whatever works for you. But we want to move it to software eventually. But okay, and then how do you keep email from going to their promotions box? So I don't use the promotion box. That's an option on Google Workspace. I think it's on others like Microsoft Office. I've turned it off. So I get all the emails. Like if I want to filter them, I'm going to filter them formally in my inbox so that they're going to like a good email copy because I really like the person who's sending the emails, or I'm going to like, hey, this is just promotions. That way I can control like if I want to go look at something someone's doing or someone came to mind or whatever. Using something like Equip 360 is going to give you the best, like one of the best ways to, so like the training in Equip 360 is really good, but there are specific things that you set up with your email, and MailChimp lacks this. They typically, like you have to know to do it. The benefit of Equip 360 is they're assuming you don't know how to do it, like you don't know to do it. So it's more than just, hey, here, set up your email and website. It's all of that extra. You need to go to Google Workspace admin. You need to click this button. Oh, you also need to go to XYZ podcast, like website, and you now need to do this. And it's things that you wouldn't know to do unless that's your job. So that's what I love about Equip 360 is it's so much more than just send an email, send a text to your website. It is very much, here's how to make them increase your opt-in, increase your deliverability, all of those things. And more than just deliverability, we're trying to hit their inbox, like actually inbox. Hey, I'm a friend. You like me. I want you to see my email. You want to see my email. And they teach you how to do that too. And then we can come in and support. You're like, hey, I'm trying to do this. They said to do this, but you guys did it. So how did you do it? So, okay. I was going to grab something for you guys. If you're interested in Equip 360, I think this is one of the only affiliates that we don't have many affiliates that we push this. So we do have an affiliate for this. It's tiny, tiny, tiny. And we would promote it without the affiliate 100 times over. But Equip 360, it is the cheapest platform for everything you get. So because you get that extra coaching level of how to run your business, which is kind of nice, on the here's how to check your domain authority, here's how to increase your domain authority, here's how to do all of the tech stuff that we are just, I'm a bookkeeper. Like I do a lot of tech and I've done a lot of tech, and like, thank you for teaching me how to do this because I didn't even know that existed. No wonder nothing worked. So, okay. So like Postmaster, domain authority, a bazillion DNS. I've never had so many DNS records on my domain, but I can see the results in Google. I can see the results in my email deliverability, all of it. Okay. Any other questions today? Or Megan, did you have anything that I missed?
I don't think so. I think that's it.
So next week we are talking, so today was, so you want to be a bookkeeper, you know, all of those. What does that mean? conversations. How do we get started? That's what we talked about today. If you want to re-listen to any of it, it will be available for replay. Next week, we are diving into like Bookkeeper 101. So that's going to very much cover, what do we mean when we say double entry accounting? What do we mean when we say debits and credits? What do we mean when we say, oh, you can just post a journal entry when someone asks a bookkeeping question on the podcast? It's going to be all of that nitty gritty kind of things. Just a fun way of talking about it. So next steps. Again, if you have any questions during these podcasts, post them in the comment section and we will get to them. We reserve the last 15, 20 minutes or so, all dedicated to you and your questions for sure. Is it best to send marketing messages on social media and marketing broadly to a general audience? That is up to you. I do general.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think people feel both ways about that. And you see people have good results either way. I think it depends on you. I know one thing that like we see a lot of times is when people niche down, it helps you to focus more on like, what is this specific industry's pain points? Where are these specific people at that I can go friend requests or get in the groups and that sort of thing. So, I mean, I think you could do a combination of both. Mine are usually more general, but when I started my business, they were very niche specific, and I still got clients in other industries and never anybody in the industry that I was niching down into. So like, I don't think either is right or wrong. It's how are you going to show up and like use that as what are their pain points sort of thing.
And Cameron, for you, we've talked about this a couple of times on the podcast. You're real estate focused. And I think more specifically, real estate investor focused. And I don't know off the top of my head if you were like residential or commercial.
Yeah, real estate investing focus.
And do you have a residential or commercial, or is there?
Yeah, so it was like anyone that does BRRRR method, short-term rental, long-term rental, fix and flips, private money lenders, because they're also deal investors. And I even have like property management as, I just all inclusive. I even like build out to people that do vacant land.
Yeah. So the reason niching for you, like, because you already have that expertise, that niche heavily thought through, you could focus on that niche. The benefit is when you're sharing stuff to your social media from Bigger Pockets podcast or from whoever, right? There's a ton, right? So you're going to share stuff to your Facebook page that they would be interested in, and you're going to build a community on your page for real estate investors. If that's the case, and then we want to maybe do podcast interviews with Bigger Pockets. I think I've seen them sponsor bench.co, but there's other smaller YouTubers that teach BRRRR method, for instance, or whatever. There was another one. There was a guest on Bigger Pocket. Like a lot of people that guest on Bigger Pockets have their own YouTube channel or their own podcast. So we're going to go find those two. We're going to go find the smaller ones, start getting into guest spots. Then we're going to share those things, and it's going to help you show up as an expert. So for you, I would lean towards niche, just because if done well, it's going to do well. But for anyone listening, if you're like, I don't really know who I want to niche in, chiropractor sounds good, construction trade sounds good, I don't know, don't niche. Can I say that again? Like, don't niche until you then have 100,000 in revenue. Like, just go find clients. That's my opinion. But if you really get stuck, then we're going to try. But niching can be as simple as your local audience. So like your local, Phoenix market. It could be, business owners over 50. It can be business owners 18 to 25. So we could normally when you niche, there's like an industry, a location, something. And then we're going to start to say, what is their demographic? What is their age? What is all of these things? You can flip that on its head and say, no, I'm looking for young women, because hopefully you probably are a young woman. I'm looking for young women in the crafting space between 18 and 25 that have started craft shows, you know, or something. Like those are going to be really tiny clients. So you're going to probably have to tweak how you're serving them. But that would, you know, that's a niche. But if you don't have a client first, I would go get a client before we really worry too much about niche. Cool. Anything else, Megan?
I don't think so.
Cool.
I think that's
Well,
it.
we will see you guys next week, and we'll get into some more of the technical bookkeeping side of things to cover that week too, as you're learning bookkeeping and getting going. There. Okay. Bye, guys.
Bye.